I think that the point about taking the native issuance, right? I think the point about native issuance is very well heard. The tricky part about native issuance is the government is then directly dependent on whatever the blockchain technology that is being used to issue is. And given that you can't get things like a terms of service for something like Ethereum, maybe the native issuance kind of takes you in the direction of having to use, something like a regulated L2 or a consortium chain or something like that. Getting governments to the point where they'll do native issuance on a generally decentralized ledger, I think, is a stretch. I can think about ways that it could happen in future, but it does seem like a bigger jump. The other thing I want to mention here is just the T-bill thing. I mean, this is not that different from cutting out the middleman on issuing T-bills and then having them bought by Tether and then issued as USDT. The general feeling that you can just get your government debt out into the crypto markets with some combination of chain and some combination of intermediary, that seems to be settling in as like, yeah, this is just another place for government to sell debt, right? Right, okay, off you go. And that, I think, is sort of like normal and boring and good for governments, and it kind of helps them with their balance sheets and all the rest of the things that are the sort of meat and potatoes use cases, which then lead the governments to say, well, hey, what about our property registers? Hey, what about equity for companies? What else could we be doing here? And so I quite like the idea that the governments can see direct benefit from doing something on a blockchain that kind of, leads to money coming into the government, to revenue generating activity. And it doesn't require an enormous amount more of that to begin to see like a really deeply digital world.